didn't have to knock me out, but I'm still holding the throne. You never know till it's over. So pretty it hurts. Just beware of the thorns.
Hello YouTube. Thought I'd do a video on prison lingo, slang. But before we get started, if you're new here, subscribe if you like prison content, and comment. I always try to answer all comments, and I love hearing from you guys. And if you have any suggestions for videos, or if there's something you want me to do a video about, let me know, and I'll try to get that done. I want feedback from you guys, what you guys want to hear. Let's see. All right, let's get into this. When I got to the walls, MSP, I heard all kinds of language that I'd never heard before, the way people talk. And some of it's just because people are from the city or whatever, But some of it's prison lingo, it's how they talk in prison. And I told myself that I would never pick up the prison lingo. But that's what I did. That ended up happening. You can't really help it. It happens over time. And there's something, and plus there's some things you can't describe with any other word, maybe you could describe it in a sentence or something, but when one word suffices, you use that one word. Anyway, one of the ones I heard at Missouri State Penitentiary that I don't hear no more is like somebody says, his heart pumps Kool-Aid. And what they're saying is he's soft or he's lame. Or you'll hear somebody saying, my heart doesn't pump Kool-Aid, try me. Nowadays they say things like he's soft as medicated cotton. But when I first got out, the meals were called chow. Like the guards would call chow time. Especially in the later prisons I was at. And at the walls is more like a sound. They'd set off an alarm letting you know that it was chow time. But the dining hall was called the chow hall. But the weird thing is, a lot of times at breakfast, they wouldn't say announce chow time. They'd say mainline. And once in a while, they'd use that word on the other meals. But it seemed to be mostly breakfast. And every other time it was chow time, Time to go to chow. But so when I first got out, a couple times I called the meals chow. And it took a little bit to get over that, Now, I still do it, but nowadays it's more as a joke. But there's still some things that, in my mind, I call things, We call people who talk to the cops all the time, we call them 5-0 cops, but the guards, correctional officers, whatever you want to call them, people who talk to them all the time, always in their face, we call them jeffers. We say, stop jeffing with the cops. You can't help but think if they're ratting on you or telling on somebody, And they may not be, but you don't know. Your first thought is they're telling on somebody. And it was I think in the early 2000s that a couple of us caught this guy telling. I mean, like right in front of everybody. He told this guard about something that was happening with his cellie. And the guard goes over to the cell, and we tell the dude, did you just snitch on that guy? He goes, I'm not a snitch. I'm getting down first. That was the first time I'd heard that phrase, getting down first. And basically what it means is he's telling on his cellie before his cellie could tell on him. Either way, to me, it's still snitching. Anyway, that didn't last long. Nobody was going for that. It didn't last long at all. I couldn't even tell you how long it lasted, but I heard a few people use it for a while, and then you never did hear it no more. But you can call it what you want. You can call it telling, call it snitching, call it getting down first. Whatever you want to call it, it's still the same thing. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. But there's another word that, and one of these I end up picking up too is, especially with my cellie I had, Kevin, I've told you guys about him, is hip. I'm hip. Like if I tell you something and you agree with it, you say I'm hip, or it's basically saying or you agree with it. Or if somebody says he's hip to the game, that means he knows what's going on. He knows the game. So it can be used in different ways. Tripping can too. Well, it pretty much has the same meaning, but it may be slightly different. Is if somebody's about to get in a wreck or they're doing something they're not supposed to, man, that dude's tripping. Or if I say I'm drawing or something, or I'm doing something, writing a letter, and I misspelled a word or misspelled something, man, I'm tripping. It depends on how it's used, really. One time I saw these, a bunch of us saw these two guys about to get into it, and they were just, all they was doing is talking back and forth. One of them would say, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Another one would say, you better check my record. You better ask somebody. And all they was doing was trying to bluff one another. And this guy standing next to me, we were laughing. I mean, it was funny to us, And this guy standing next to me goes, one's scared and the other one's glad of it. And that was pretty much it. That was the truth. So you hear there's so much lingo that it's slang that it's not even I'm sure I'm not going to get them all, but I'll try to get as many as I can. One of the things is sagging. There's people in prison that like to sag, and that means having your pants like halfway down, to your knee. Well, it's against the rules too. But so a lot of times somebody will have a pair of pants pulled all the way up, or shorts or whatever, and they'll have their outside pants sagging, which doesn't make sense to me. But the people who do it say it's comfortable and they're used to doing it and everything. But the original meaning of that is the boys in prison walked around like that, advertising. You know, so you can take it for what it's worth, but that's where that started from. And you know, I don't care if somebody sags or not. I just don't understand it. But people say it's comfortable, but that's actually a term, sagging. And really, the term sagging doesn't really fit with what they're doing. You know, because sagging means like drooping or whatever. But that's what it's called. And you hear people call people who live with them cellies instead of cellmates. Cellie. But some people will say bunkie, especially in low-level camps where you're in like a dorm and you still have bunk beds. They'll talk about bunkie. Or people from other prisons. I've had a couple cellies from out of state, and they'd say bunkie. But for the most part, it's celly. And let's see. I was going to say something else about the cells. Oh yeah, the names. And the names they give people. You know, somebody who's gay is a boy, a kid. You know, but nowadays, people call them soft, and they weren't always like that. I think I did a video on that I'm about to release too. But I don't know what that was. But chicken. Going back to the food, chicken was called yard bird, and sometimes called pigeon, because sometimes chicken legs wasn't very big at all, you know. And so yard bird wasn't. I forgot about that. Yeah. And we had stingers, which I always thought that was just the name of them was stingers. But when I got out, I found out the actual name of them was immersion heaters. And what they was is just a cord, had a cold water in, you plugged it in water, and it heated your water up. Then, of course, you had zuzus and wham whams, and that was your snacks, you know, like your sweets and stuff. You know, oatmeal pies and nutty buddies and things like that. I do not know where the name zuzus and wham whams came from, but that's what they call them. And I noticed that in other states they say commissary, which, you know, everybody in Missouri knows what that means, you know, and some of us use it too. But for the most part, it's called canteen. You know, or canteen day, or you have, how much canteen do you have? Or this and that, you know. But we know about commissary, and we've used it a few times, but for the most part, it's canteen. Other states say pods. Here in Missouri, we have wings, and I don't know what you know, at the walls, they weren't called wings. You had, like, the buildings were long shaped, and you had A side and you had B side, and that's all I knew about. And the bottom walk was called the flag. Do not ask me why, but it was called the flag. But after that, after I left the walls, it was wings. You had and from halls. The walls had halls. Like 4 house was called A hall, and so on, and it was all letters. Jay, that's subscribed here, he could tell you all the letters to them. I don't know them all. I know H hall, A hall, and they still call H hall H hall. The funny thing about A hall is it was called both A hall and 4 house interchangeably. When I was there, 3 house, I always knew about 3 house, but I'm supposing it was B hall or something like that. I don't know. So Jay, talk to us. Give us these names. The basement at the walls. I guess it really was a basement. You was down underneath the main part of the housing unit. And it had a hole down there. It was horrible down there. I only spent 5 days in the hole down there. I did not like it at all. That's another thing. The hole. That's slang. Staff uses it too, but they give you disciplinary segregation and administrative segregation. Both is the hole, and that's when you get punished and you go. It's like going to jail. It's like prison jail. But disciplinary is like, say you got 10 days. All right. If you're on disciplinary segregation, then that's your 10 days that you do in the hole, and you can't do nothing. You're just in there. They bring you out for a shower every 3 days. Administrative segregation is when you get off of disciplinary, and however long you have to wait till you go back out the population. It could be months. It could be just a few days, whatever. That's called administrative segregation. You get phone calls on the weekend. You get they take you out to this. We call them dog kennels or dog runs. That's really what they were. There's these long cages, rows of them. They put one of us in each one of them, keep us out there for an hour, and then take us back in. The only thing it really was good for was pacing back and forth and talking to somebody maybe you knew. But that's the disciplinary and administrative, and they've shortened it to disseg and adseg. So we other states say prunal for homemade wine. We say hooch. I don't know if any other states call it that or what, but I just know that I've heard it called prunal in other states, and we call it hooch. Don't know why we call it hooch, but we do. There's of course there's the yard, and we don't say recreation. Whenever I say rec, I'm talking about recreation. I'm talking about going to the yard or to the gym, library, whatever. Mostly the gym and the yard's what it refers to. When a guard says, when they say wing rec only, that means you can only go into the wing and make your phone calls, take your showers, whatever, make your prison meals with the others. But that's what, it's really messed up on when you have wing rec, because you always have people. This is another food thing though, and they call it fried noodles. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's where they take ramen soups down there and they put them in the microwave, put a little bit of water. The reason I'm laughing is because you're not really frying the noodles. You know, you're turning them brown, you know, black. But you know, when you fry something, that's not how it's done. You know, so I don't know. And you know what? There was many microwaves that broke over that. You know, or quit working, and we'd have to get another one. And sometimes it'd take a while to get another one. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. If you would like to hear more of these, I'll have to come up with, you know, I'll have to write them down as I think of them, you know, as I remember them. But those are the main ones. And I hope you guys have a good time. And see you next time. Bye.